she's hoppin' mad now, Venom crowed, but stopped with a quizzical expression wrinkling in her forehead. Well, if she can hop that is, which she can't. Because I tied her to the chair. Her smile returned. I'm good at knots. Octavia's raspy breathing was like a kennel in the room. Her movements were ungainly, and like a foal in its first finding its legs, she tried to push herself upright, but her forelegs slipped out from underneath her. That's when the frack of her falling back down was too far and far too loud. Finley saw this from the corner of her eye, locked into a stare down with her father. No, with Veron, he was Veron, not her father, and definitely not Daddy. Veron's smile was icy. Such defiance, my dear heart. He then reached up, gently stroked the side of her face. Finley tried not to grimace. His touch felt soft and intimate, as if it was perfectly within the rights to brush aside the sweat-damp mane and trace the line of the cheekbone. Such fire within you, always such fire and strength, burning beneath your surface. I thought I did not know, but I knew of everything, my dearest, and I could see into your heart as easily as I could through the clear window. And even you could be seen bent to me, even if you did as you were the bait of what I did the bidding. What higher compliment would a father receive from his own child? The air in the room seemed heavier than before. Every breath hurt Vinley's chest, as through her ribs were made of lead. A successful unicorn who gets to carry my blood, Veron purred. Do you even know how rare you are? My own father said it would not be done. He said I was a fool to come here to Celestia's land and try to make children from hers. I should have stayed and eked out some of the pribbing existence from the old country like him. Glad for scraps thrown down by my nobles, who would never allow our bloodline to rise above theirs. Veron's fangs glinted as he snarled briefly. My blood deserves better than that, whatever risks the shining sun princess posed. Vinley wasn't so sure of what to make of this. He couldn't have spoken like this before. Was he the Veron trying to reason with her? Trying to tempt her to come back to him with his own twisted logic instead of brute force? The blood of ponies is too thin, he said, and the blood of unicorns does not take well into hiding our power, as well as our own. Yet here you are, still alive and still sane. So many decades we had together, Vandala, and you still have so many others' children you have perished. You are one of my greatest creations. His hoof tip grazed on the corner of her eye, making her blink. His face came close enough that she could pick out every flick of red of his irises, and he could have done the same for her pink ones. Or you were. Veron brought back the hoof, slammed into her face. Before you ruined yourself! Stars exploded across her vision. Her head rocketed sideways within his grip. It was a wonder her neck didn't break. He dropped her unceremoniously until both sides of the chair clattered to the floor. Vellum, he said with the name, like she already knew the rest of the sentence, without him needing to speak it. Vinley could have made sounds of wings of her pounding ears. She then struggled to blink back to proper sight. She was aware of the movement above her and tried to look up, like a snake staring into the jaws of the fox, about to bite its head off. Tell me what you did to yourself to take away the powers, or I will rip your head off, Veron said calmly. Octavia half stood still, half lay back against him, as he held the top of his head with one hoof, and her chin in the other. Vinley always used that joke for her fur, as it was dull as her music, usually to provoke a reaction, so they could play around or be silly. Octavia was always serious. Opportunities for silliness were good for her, even when she complained about them. Right now, Octavia's fur seemed grayer and duller than ever. Everything about her dropped, as if though some essential essence had been sucked right out of her and not returned. There was no fresh puncture marks on the side of the neck, though. She had the hallmarks of being drained, but with no marks, except there, when Veron shifted one behind hoof, and Octavia was forced to do the same. Vinley saw them. 2 little ragged holes on each side of their thigh. He had gone for the femoral artery, biting enough through it that she had been awake. Octavia would have been mutilated as well in pain. Vinley then hoped desperately that she had not been awake. Even for the part of that he knew Vuron had told her, he would have made sure that she was. He would have wanted Octavia awake. He would have wanted Vinley to know she had been frightened and unaware that he hurt and humiliated her. Vinley was assaulted by the sun image of her Tavy, struggling to try and get away from the 2 white ponies. In years gone by, Vinley and Verulam had each penned of 4 hooves of Vuron's victims. While he fed off of them in that way, it made Vinley sick. Even to delight that he took in the fear and embarrassment, she could not assure her imagination, conjured Octavia stretched out, pinned in place by a laughing Verulam, while an injured Vuron pushed her hind legs apart, bending one of them over his shoulder, lowering his head in the first place to the mouth. No, 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 no! Rage swelled inside Vinley like a column of fire. The bonds holding her back broke in chair, but all dissolved as she telekinetically ripped away. The base of the horn throbbed like it always did when she tried to use magic with a headache, but she ignored it. "How fast can you do it, Vandala?" Vuron murmured. "Could you use your punny pony magic on me faster than I could snap her neck?" He tightened his grip. Octavia whimpered. It was a tiny noise, like a cough of a sparrow, but to Vini it was only the sound of the world that moment. She could do it. She could fling him right across the room. She could tear Octavia from his hold. She could pick up anything there and hit him like she did in the kitchen. But she had seen how fast he could kill. Her magic died. Her shoulders slumped. "Let her go!" Her stomach churned in realization as she pleaded, "Please!" "Please what?" "No!" "Please what, Vandala?" "No, no, no, no!" Verulam giggled. Vuron stared expectantly. "Sweet Celestia, don't make me say it. Don't make me." Octavia gasped as Vuron twisted her head. "Please, Daddy. Please, Daddy, no!" Vandala cowered further in the corner, her forelegs raised to protect her head and neck. "I didn't mean to. I forgot to lock the... You forgot?" Daddy didn't even sound mad. He sounded peculiar, like he was bored or something. Not like those times that they went out together and sit in crowds in cafes, and no mirrors caught this attention. That is, no excuse. He punctuated each word with a strike or kick that made her cry out, "I'm sorry! Whatever you or not, you mean this is irrelevant. I spent weeks wooing that noble. She got what would have been in Celestia's own court, and you had to let her see your feeding?" A vicious kick sent her spinning across the room. Her scalp frothed a fresh cut that was throbbing. "A little more blood on the walls, no matter now." He stepped forward towards her, shaking droplets off his hooves. "But there should have been none." Daddy," she mewed. Her breathing felt slurpy. Something had cracked and was now stabbing out at the side. It hurts to inhale, exhale, and even more not to breathe at all. Daddy wasn't even panting. The door opened and Verulam then trotted in, froze when she saw Grizzly Tabelux, the eyes traveling from the slump earth pony, with the oddly angled neck to her father and sister. Her wings fluttered. "What happened?" Vandala coughed. On impulse sliced through her to tell Verulam to run. Not that she could speak anymore. Bloody little gathered around the corner of her mouth. "Daddy?" Verulam looked expectantly at him. "What happened to the lady from Monica?" Daddy then looked back, shook his mane. "She met with the unfortunate accident, dear heart. Your sister brought a cat into the house." "A cat?" Verulam wrinkled her nose. "Why? Evidently, she has developed a taste for them." Verulam's tiny pink tongue stuck out. "Yuck! Cat blood tastes awful, even worse than rabbit. Couldn't she catch a pony?" "She could have," she merely mildly, "but she chose not to. She has been choosing not to for a while." He eyed Vandala, and she struggled against her broken ribs. "Although she had thought she could keep that from me?" That was stupid, Vellum tilted her head. Why would she think that? She thinks she can keep a lot of things from me, Daddy sighed. My dear Vandala, all these decades and you still have not learned? Can keep nothing from me. My blood is your blood, and your blood is mine. Your life is mine, and I can sense when you're lying to me. Your blood sings your descent. Tears bleeded out of the corner of Vandala's eyes. Daddy, I think she's gonna cry. Big sis, don't cry. That's so babyish. This is an evening of poor decisions, it seems. Vandala squeezed her eyes shut, trying to will away the tears and the pain that caused them. I'm sorry, she husked. I do not doubt that you are, but you are sorry that you were caught. You are not sorry that you lowered yourself eating vermin. I know about rats also, Vandala, and rabbits and the other creatures that you have been drinking from instead of ponies. I know you have been avoiding drinking blood for as long as you are physically able to try and survive on ordinary food, like some ordinary pony. Daddy's eyes grew hard as rubies. But you are not ordinary, Vandala, and you never will be. I'm sorry. She didn't know what else to say. I'm sorry, so sorry. I'm so sorry, Daddy. In an emergency for hunting practice is acceptable to consume such things, but this is not an emergency. Trondheim is not some backwater rural wasteland. This is a city. There are ponies here, homeless ones who could not be missed. There is a crime to be blamed for slashed throats and empty purses. Or there's public houses where drunken patrons could put up a fight and throw you in the river, toss their bodies into. You know how to dress a scene to disguise your presence there. You have no excuse. She couldn't tell him. She didn't want to be a monster anymore. She was tired of being something that they were afraid of. She could knock out the homeless he spoke of so they wouldn't see her when she bites him. But that even filled her revulsion. While he was so wooing some mare, he never did his own hunting. It was impossible for herself or for Vellum to drink a little. Vellum's slow aging meant she was still too small to contain as much blood as he needed without starving herself. No, if not, it all fell to Vandila. As usual, she was the big sister, a dutiful daughter that was her responsibility to look after them both. Daddy made a noise and turned away. We must leave this city now. Drink from Lady from the Monica to heal yourself. When the next we reach to a settlement, you will catch a pony of my choosing. There will be no mercy from then. You will drink from that pony, and then you will kill it and dispose of the body cleanly. You will show me that you can remember we may do things, Vandala. You will not hesitate. You will not argue. You will not think of these ponies as equals. Do you understand me? The urge to argue washed up against the pain in her chest, like an incoming ocean meeting a tide as well. Yes, Dad. The words devolved into coughs, so violently she gagged in her own blood. She then heard a scraping noise. The next thing she knew, her face was being pressed onto a still warm flesh. Drink, Daddy ordered, before her blood congeals. You have internal injuries. Take them to heal quickly. Vandala shut her eyes and extended her fangs and took a deep drink. She couldn't bear to look at the dead mare's wide purple eyes. Good girl.